just a little bump and drive. Is that copyrighted?
The thing that gives me comfort, you guys, is while I'm sitting at home, staring at the ceiling, just wishing that I had someone to talk to, is knowing that none of you idiots realize how lucky you are.
Stuck in my head, only feel safe in my bed, but the anxiety is killing me.
The thing that gives me comfort, you guys, is while I'm sitting at home, staring at the ceiling, just wishing.
Alright, welcome to our burger video, one that I've been very excited about. I get to use my homemade pickles. Going to be starting today with ground beef. I went for ribeye. It's got a little bit more fat in it. Tends to be very good for burgers. And my secret weapon is I throw a couple strips of bacon in there through the grinder with it, so all that gets blended together. So, without further ado, let's start the burgers. You know, it's always good to have the right knife for the job. Something tells me this knife is a little too big, even if I do a little rearranging. I mean, it might work, but yeah. Right knife for the job. However, I should fix this because first thing I did, very important, is to oil your grinder. Put a little bit of olive oil in there, which is dripping nicely into the bowl. Not a big deal, but the main issue with that I'm seeing is, well, now I've got olive oil on the counter. Unlike in the pickle video where the boiling vinegar was good for the counter, olive oil not so much, so, you know, you have to do a little bit of cleaning. I know not everybody has gloves, and it's my own food, my own house. Normally I wouldn't wear gloves, but after handling this stuff, I've also got to handle my camera for you guys, depending if you want me to grab on you or anything. So, you know, don't want to get blood on you. So I'm just going to start off by cutting the beef into strips. That was my oven preheating because I like to multitask, and I am cleaning / seasoning my cast iron skillet for later because when I cook these burgers, them's bitches gonna be done right. So the steak is about a pound. Could have read that to you to give you a ratio. 1.04. So like I said, it's about a pound. Any closer to a pound, and well, it would be a pound. So I'm just gonna cut the beef into strips so you can feed it nice and easily through the tube that is your grinder. If you don't have a grinder, you could use a food processor. If you don't have one of those, you can just buy your ground beef pre-ground, packaged at the store, what have you. Nobody's gonna judge you. I know I'm not gonna. I don't even know who's watching this for me to judge. So, you know, you be your own boss. Gonna grab 4 strips of bacon. No, make it 6. Because these are not thick cut, so get a little extra bacon in there. A little extra bacon never hurt anybody. So what we're gonna do is we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strips of burgers. So we're gonna separate our 6 strips of bacon into 5. How does that work exactly? Because that's not how math goes. I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4 single stacks of bacon, and then a final double stack. This is where it gets loud. Hopefully the mic picks me up more than the grinder. First time doing this with the mic, so I apologize in advance if this deafens you. So we're going to grab one of our strips of beef and our strips of bacon, feed them into the tube. Use the plunger because the plunger stops. Your fingers might actually go a little too far in, and while that has never happened to me personally, it does not sound very comfortable. God, it's like living next to an airport. Going less than 1 knuckle deep. There's a joke in there somewhere. But I'm not worried about pushing it too far in and losing any fingers. If you recall my pickle video, I'm very big on keeping fingers on this side. Alright, I got the something. Oh, cool. might have to do a recipe of mine one day. And no. So go, that means go down. So the reason I oil it beforehand is so stuff doesn't get stuck throughout the shaft and the anus of the grinder. You don't want things stuck in your shaft or your anus. Smack it around a little bit to make sure all that meat does go down. And I'm just going to wait it out so it starts running a little slowly. I'm moving my cutting board out of the way. Do not need my bacon anymore. I can do everything keeping it warm. The next step is seasoning. So once it starts running slowly out, you can stop it. There's always going to be a little bit of meat left in the grinder, but nothing that's going to be detrimental. So, alright, should have had a second set of gloves handy, because I need to touch these to open them and use them. Then I got to mix the meat, so it looks like I'm getting dirty hands anyway. First thing I'll do, a little bit of salt. I don't measure. Again, you know, that's my usual. You eyeball it, you know what you like, and the more you cook, the more you're going to know what flavor profile you're going for. Then paprika, a couple shots of cayenne just to really kick it up. What was this one? Garlic powder. I should have known. I picked these out myself, but you know, it's been a busy morning. Good amount of garlic, and then fresh cracked pepper. Some people argue that fresh cracked is much different than pre-cracked, I guess, or ground pepper. But personally, I do notice a difference. I don't know if it's because it's bigger chunks and you get a lot more of that pepper flavor, or it's because it's freshly releasing the oils from within. So, now what you do is you're just going to get in with your hands. No gloves. Fuck it. Get everything nice and mixed together. You're here to make sure every inch of meat is seasoned properly and well, or else you're going to have a very boring burger, and we don't want that. Although, truth be told, even with a boring burger, the bacon within helps. So, this is about 1.5 pounds of meat. So, I'm going to very, very unceremoniously divide this into fourths to make 4 patties. Not going to be exact, but it's going to be close, and I can always pick some off of one and put it on another. So now you're just going to really, really handle your meat. You beat that meat, you smack it around until you get a nice burger patty. This looks like a burger patty. Little trick I've picked up over the years of doing burgers too. Little thumb divot in there. What's going to happen is that's going to cause an words are escaping me. Basically, it's going to let you know when it's time to flip it by bubbling up. So when I do tonight's burgers, it's obviously going to have these. They're going to be in a preheated cast iron skillet to get an instant sear and nice crust on the outside of the burger. That bacon fat's going to render and just really flavor the meat throughout. And since this is a keto recipe, what I'm going to be doing is putting it, instead of on a bun, as a salad. So I'm going to do chopped romaine lettuce. And then the burgers are going to be topped with, since I don't like my eggs runny, mine will have a egg fried hard. Amber, however, will have hers with an egg over medium, which, while again, I don't like my eggs runny, over medium does tend to look a lot better. This is a fat burger. Gonna have to go back in and mess around a little bit. But anyway, so she'll have her eggs over medium. I'll have mine over hard. Then I'm going to do some thin sliced red onion on there for a little bit of freshness and sharpness. We both tend to top ours the same way, condiment-wise, which will be a mixture of mayonnaise and ketchup. I also do lean for, I don't have any sort of sponsorship on this, so whatever random brand that you could find here in Texas, spicy ketchup, sold at your local supermarket. A little bit of mayo. Don't remember if I said that. Got a little confused trying to talk about what brand of ketchup I should or should not use. Colby Jack cheese, and of course the pickles that we made a week ago. So I cheated. I cracked open the pickles a couple days ago, and they were phenomenal. So I'm excited about putting them on my burgery salady thing later. Can't wait till you guys see it too. Sorry for walking off frame a little. I was getting ready to come around and turn off the camera. But I'm going to let these burgers sit for a little bit in the fridge, let the flavors really get to know each other. Later, I'll come back to do some toppings prep, and then we'll get on to the cooking. Both the burgers and the fried eggs, although I really don't need to show you how to cook a fried egg. I don't do a lot of basics like, hey, this is how you crack an egg into a skillet kind of recipes. I could. Leave some feedback below. But see you in a bit.
That I had someone to talk to is knowing that none of you idiots realize how lucky you are.
Stuck in my head, only feel safe
Magic.
in my bed, but the anxiety is killing me.
The thing that gives me comfort, you guys, is while I'm sitting.
Alright, so now it's time to actually get cooking. I've been preheating my cast iron skillet a little bit in the oven just to get that started. And here it comes. A little bit of heat. Don't forget to use an oven mitt or a towel when grabbing, well, anything out of the oven, you know. As I've addressed previously, keep your fingers intact. So it's going to allow it a little more time to heat up. Very, very good indicator of when it's hot enough is butter. Got the burner on, move butter around. Even though the cast iron is pre-seasoned, there's no harm in getting a little extra flavor. And you know, butter does make everything better. So butter's starting to get nice and frothy, it's getting nice and melty. After I flip the burgers, I'll be firing up, well actually I'll heat this skillet now. But after I flip the burgers, I'll be adding butter and frying eggs on that skillet to go with the burgers. So now that that's nice and hot, I'm going to take the aforementioned burgers, nice little sizzle. Don't know how well the mic picks that sound up, guess we're gonna learn. You're overcrowding your skillet, don't worry too much because burgers do shrink a little bit with the cook. So right now they're touching, but they won't be okay. You want to keep that heat probably like a nice medium high. Something that's really going to just get a sear as quick as possible. I've seen many videos, read many different trains of thought on burger preparation, and they say don't press your burgers, you're going to squeeze the juices out. That's kind of bullshit. I press my burgers down, I leave them be. They are just as good no matter what. One thing you are going to want to do is, even though you have seasoned the meat, is you're going to want to hit it with a little cracked black pepper and some salt, at least on the raw side for now. Really no such thing as too much flavor when you're cooking burgers. So this part does take a few minutes. Alright, so now we're going to come in and give our burgers a fry. That's what you want. You want that nice crust on there. Hopefully you can see that. You cannot see it too well. I will do some dolly work and move the camera over these after some clips so you can see the crust that I am so lovingly referring to. Again, give them a little press. What I've always done, and I've never heard any complaints about my burgers being dried out or anything. Yep, that's the kind of crust you want to get on those burgers. Now if they're flipped, this pan's a little bit hot. This pan's a little warm. Start melting butter for the fried hard eggs, which I did not grab a plate for. Alright, we got our skillet going. We magically have a plate for the cooked eggs as they come up, because I'm going to be trying to plate all 4 burgers at once with eggs cooked 2 different ways. Burgers have a great sizzle going now, so I'm going to give those another flip and then get those eggs started. Great thing about cast iron is it really just locks in so much heat. So you're going to get a nice, good, radiant cook done to your meat. And then we'll go back and forth. Sometimes I do prefer to use non-stick. but I feel like you just can't match what cast iron gives. So, turn that heat up a little bit, and egg 1, egg 2. I always like to start with the over medium eggs when I'm doing this because 2 are over medium, 2 are fried hard. The benefit to starting with the over mediums is that, you know, if I happen to fuck them up when I flip them, I'm still able to go back in and do 2 more. So these are much more finicky than just fried hard. Let butter do its job. Let the eggs get a little more firm before you flip them. Something I tend to do is flip my eggs too prematurely, and then they kind of like fold over on themselves instead of flip. I also need a bigger spatula. The surface area on this side just doesn't cut it. Come in and flip. Come in and roll, I guess. Flipping wasn't the option. It's okay. The important thing with this is that you do not pop the yolks, because you want that yolk to remain intact until you serve it. Now that they've been flipped, a little salt and pepper. And that browning is from bringing the butter to a certain temperature, because of the brown butter effect. Kind of adds a little bit of nuttiness to it. You could use olive oil, you could use pan release spray. Whatever you prefer. I like to get a little bit of that brown butter effect on my eggs. I just feel like it makes them taste better. Burgers are coming along nicely. One of my 2 eggs is a little jacked up, but that's okay. So, egg number 1, the one that flipped right, certainly ready for transfer. Egg number 2, try to flip again. Alright, it's definitely cooked now, so slide that bad boy out. And now for the ones that are much, much easier to not mess up, because I gotta break the yolks and cook them well done, because I am a picky bitch with my eggs. So, crack 1, crack 2, oh no, piece of shell. That. Magic paper towel, so we'll take care of that one. Gonna lower the heat on these burgers down to about a 2, because they're getting really close to done. And give them one final flip. If you are afraid of getting burned, well, that's it. That tends to happen when cooking with so much fat in such a high temperature skillet. There's my egg yolks. Now for standard fried eggs, even though I normally use my eggs after flipping, these I'm going to season now. A little liberal with the black pepper, and I don't like myself too salty, so a little bit of sea salt. Sea salt, iodized salt. Quite cheap on this one. And then just try to separate it so it looks like 2 eggs, because you still have 2 burgers that they're going to be going on top of. Normally I would put my cheese on the burgers while they're in the skillet, but it's so hot that I'm going to lose cheese, just melt it down into that oil. Also, I'm putting hot eggs on top of the burgers. So what I'll be doing here is just placing cheese on top of the patty, and then egg over the cheese, and letting that heat, that sandwich with that cheese in there, kind of melt it down the rest of the way. These eggs are done. Take that off the burner, turn the burner off. The burger burner is off.
That I had someone to talk to is no.
So, as if I teleported, this is kind of a one-man show, so I wanted to get the burgers at least on the plates ahead of time. Do a little paper towel action again. And now what I'm going to do is add a slice of Colby Jack to each patty. successfully. Yes, I did. Alright, slice of Colby Jack down. Fried eggs, well done, down. My nice runny eggs, down. Some sliced red onion. I definitely cut up more than I needed, but I want to make sure I had pieces of the correct sizes for this. And neither of us truly like a lot of raw onion, so this is a lot of it's for appearance's sake too. So don't need a ton. All right. Onion, got some of our homemade pickles that are being extremely belligerent with coming out of the jar. Gonna grab a spoon instead. Because this fork just is not playing nice. There we go. Also, you know, I like to plate and make my thing look as nice as possible when I cook. So I will be putting the pickles at the table to be able to eat more. This is just for the sake of making a pretty presentation, especially for our first pickle video. And again, we both like mayo and ketchup on our burgers. So what I'm gonna do is a nice dollop of mayo in the middle. Normally I would use a squeeze jar, but I bought the wrong kind. And we'll end up eating this with both a fork and a knife. So we'll be able to chop it all up, spread it all around, eat it as one big cohesive unit. Put a mayo on the counter because I gotta make a little bit of a mess. Then, for me anyway, I use Whataburger or random brand spicy ketchup, and she will use, I believe, regular ketchup. But yeah, that is the burgers. We have our burgers with the ketchup already on it, and our ones without. So I'm about to chow down myself on this, and I hope you guys at home try this recipe again and let me know what you think. I've been doing it for a long time. I always tweak a little bit here and there and try to find ways to make it better, and yeah, thanks for watching.